your girl so fine, but her breath is like, whoa. She say she wanna dance, but she...
Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Hutchison, and Lizzy has joined me today to share part of her story and her really miraculous recovery up until this point, and what we're still looking forward to achieving in 2024. So, Lizzy, tell me a little bit about, 6 years ago, you first had a couple different concussions, right? And then a year and a half or 2 years ago during COVID was when you had that really bad accident that we're going to show the clip of.
Damn, your girl so fine, but her breath is like, whoa. She say she wanna dance, but she don't know how to, whoa. I'm iced out.
I had a bad concussion in high school about 6 years ago playing flag football, and since then I never fully recovered, but I just dealt with feeling bad sometimes. And I think a year and a half ago I fell on my head and hurt my neck pretty bad, and I didn't have symptoms right away that were horrible, but I just over time it all just added up, and it wasn't until this year when everything got really bad.
Got it. So after you had those concussions 6 years ago, did you do any kind of rehab or anything like that?
I did concussion vestibular therapy, and I got back to a functioning level, I thought, but over the years I never knew about any holistic measures or anything like that until this year, so I never really, I would go to a chiropractor that worked close to where I live, but I never really investigated it, and I think that honestly it made me worse.
Okay.
And so
how did it you said the beginning of this year it really just went south, where you couldn't get out of bed? I mean, you couldn't stand for longer than 45 seconds without your heart rate going...
I'd have to crawl just to go to the bathroom because my heart rate would be 180 just trying to stand up. So I was in bed the whole beginning of the year. And I think I had some symptoms here and there, and I just dealt with them, but I think my body just got to a certain point where it couldn't compensate anymore, and so it just all fell apart at once.
I think that's a really important point to bring up, which is compensation strategies, because many of us are walking around, and I share this with people to raise awareness that many people are ticking time bombs. And that means that we have small injuries or even a large injury, and we just kind of push forward and we just say, no, I'm going to be okay. And, maybe I'll just make myself do things, or I'll have extra caffeine today so I don't feel weird, or I'll just, but really health is the most important thing that we have.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have our health, we can't be there for others that we love. We can't be, bring our best to life. So you had these concussions where you probably did have some neck trauma and structural problems that developed because of it, whether it was a bit of, combination of injury to your stability structures in your spine, right? Your tendons and your ligaments, and they weren't properly rehabbed because you had vestibular therapy and concussion rehab, which was working more from a functional neurology type perspective to get the body to reset, quote unquote. But over time, not having addressed that curvature and stability perspective, you progressively got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the straw that broke the camel's back with the injury during COVID, where you felt that spiraled you into not being able to get out of bed, having to crawl to the bathroom. It was you were at probably your lowest point at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you reached out initially after seeing one of my videos, and you were kind of curious that maybe there was something you felt maybe Dr. Hutchison has a unique approach that can help me.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to try a little bit more with some functional neurology, which had helped you a bit, but you still couldn't stand longer than a minute. Is that right?
Yeah, I had done functional neurology, and I had definitely come very far, and I would attribute that to getting me out of bed, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I knew that for years my neck has hurt and bothered me, and I've always self-cracked it kind of, which is the worst thing you could probably do. But so that's when I decided I've tried a lot of different things, and maybe I really need to investigate my neck more.
Lizzy, we've probably had about 7 or 8 visits together.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of the 7 or 8 visits we've had together, it's been pretty neat to see your progress. And, we're a small office, so we have the privilege or pleasure of staying in touch with you, and we give, you and your husband Ethan a call once in a while and just check on you. And since we've had these 7 or 8 visits, it's been pretty cool because you were excited to tell us that you were able to walk for 10 minutes without your heart rate, before your heart rate went up. You were able to, tell us a little bit about the things you've been able to do since we've started working together.
I would say when I first started coming here, like, I could barely even stand long enough to do, like, the digital motion x-rays. I had to sit down in between each one. My heart rate was probably, like, 140. And since, like, I've started coming here, I've been able to, like, walk around the block some and, like, go out and, like, actually, like, live life a little bit and get back to, like, functioning, I would say. And I know there's still work to be done and stuff that we can work on, but that's just exciting to continue to just go in the right direction and get better.
Yeah, that's great. Tell us too, you were really excited because you and your husband Ethan and your whole family, you went on a trip up to North Carolina, or was it Tennessee?
North Carolina.
Up to North Carolina. Yeah. And, a month or two before the trip, you didn't even think maybe that you'd be able to go, or that you might just be staying inside the house the whole time. And, tell us just kind of how that trip went for you. What were you able to do?
I was nervous because I was like, I don't want to miss out on anything because I can't walk far or stand far, but I was able to do most of everything that everyone else was doing. I mean, there was a few things, like I would just sit on a bench outside instead of, like, going to all the stores, but I pretty much didn't miss out on anything, and I think that was, like, such a big turning point in my recovery and just feeling like a normal human again, so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you're really going all in with your healing, Lizzy. I know that you're working on, brain retraining. You're doing everything you can at home to stay positive. It's pretty cool because before we started working together, we talked about this before we started filming, but you were at a point when you weren't without hope, but, you kind of were starting to have, a lot of the almost mental and a spiritual challenge, like, am I going to get better?
Yeah.
So, this is just a remarkable story to share that, you were officially diagnosed with POTS, right? So you'd be sitting, you'd stand up, and your heart rate would go almost immediately up to 150, 160 beats a minute.
Yeah.
And now you're able to really get through most of the common day-to-day activities that you need to do. Get to work, be at home, do something simple like some dishes at home before needing to take breaks. You went on family vacations, so this has just been a remarkable progress and success story. And we do have a couple of images to show on how your posture is really improving and how your C1 was actually shifting forward over C2, and now it's not. So, what did you think about that when I showed you that? Like, was that pretty interesting?
It's crazy, like, to see it in pictures. I mean, you can totally tell, like, the difference just in the way that I was standing in the x-rays also, but just, like, thinking about your spinal fluid and if it's not flowing properly, like, it makes sense why I have all of these issues. So, just to see it in pictures, it definitely is cool to see the progress,
Good. All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
I would say just don't give up hope, and I think, like, taking healing, like, almost into your own hands, honestly, and do your, like, own investigative work and figure out, like, what practitioners around you can actually help, but definitely come see Dr. Hutchinson, and I mean, they've encouraged us along the way the entire time, and thankful to where we're gonna go, so.
Thank you so much, Lizzy. It's been a pleasure helping you.